I read a lot of books, and to be honest, this would be a very expensive hobby for me if I bought every single one of the books I read full price from bookshops. And whilst I do occasionally buy books from retail sellers that I want to get immediately, and also want to support the author by paying full price, I can't really do this all the time because my bank account would simply just say, no. We're in a cozy lips, babes, we can't afford this. That being said, in the last week I actually acquired 10 books and I realised that I managed to get all of them for under £5. So not only is this video going to be a book haul of what I got, but I'm also going to explain the ways that you can get cheap and free books as well. And if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Katerina, welcome to the channel, it's lovely to see you here. And alrighty, let's get into it. Okay, starting off strong, the usual way that I get the majority of my physical books is actually through charity shops. It's a sustainable way to buy used books and it goes towards a good cause. I usually see books priced here around £2–3, but there's a charity shop near me that actually does books for £1. So the very first book in my haul that I got for £1 is Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kuang. And this story follows a struggling writer named June, who steals a manuscript from her dead friend Athena, who is a successful author, and June is hoping to publish it as her own in order to reach literary stardom that she's always wanted. When Athena was alive, their relationship was complicated because June was always envious of her. There's also heavy themes of cultural appropriation in this book because June is a white woman and she's trying to pass off work of Athena, who was an Asian American woman. The book is also a sharp critique of the publishing industry and the challenges there, as well as a nuanced examination on identity and authenticity. It explores themes of ambition, race, and the complex dynamics between friendship and rivalry. Finding this book in a charity shop honestly felt like hitting the jackpot, as I've been wanting to read this book so badly after I finished her other book called Babel. And I've heard mixed things about this novel, so I'm intrigued to read it myself and form my own opinions of it. Next up, another book that I got for £1 at a charity shop was Hot Milk by Deborah Levy. This book follows a young anthropologist called Sophia, and she comes to the Spanish coastal town of Almeria in order to find a search for her mother's mysterious paralysis, which their relationship is a bit rocky because there's a lot of unspoken tensions, as there's a weight of dependency on Sophia as she's her mother's caretaker, so there's some complex mother-daughter relationships here. Also, Sophia encounters various characters throughout the novel that challenge her sense of identity, so the book becomes a psychological exploration for the search of self and the fluidity of the human condition. It explores themes of personal freedom, responsibility, and the elusive nature of health and illness. I'm super excited to read this because a subscriber actually recommended this book to me. I made a video not long ago about perfect summer reads, and I asked people in the comments, what are your favourite summer reads? And someone said that this was definitely a solid one, so thank you to you who recommended me this book. I'm really excited to read it. Plus, I'm also going to Spain in September, so I feel like this is the perfect prep for my holiday. And the very last book I got last week from a charity shop for £1 was My Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. This book is actually a memoir by the author, and it recounts the year following the sudden death of her husband. In the novel, she lays bare the tumultuous and disorientating journey of grief that ensues after her profound loss. And the narrative delves into this magical thinking that takes hold of her, which is this psychological process where the mind grapples with grief and the wishful thinking of hoping that your loved one can return. This memoir is a candid reflection of the rocky terrain of marriage, motherhood, and the inevitable shift of family dynamics in the face of a tragedy. The author also recounts at the same time the critical illness of her daughter, which just adds another layer of emotional complexity to the novel. So this book really is a psychological exploration into the process of mourning and survival. Despite how depressing this book sounds, I'm actually really looking forward to reading it because it will be my first Joan Didion book. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about her works, so I'm really excited to read this. I've also heard that this is a really transformative read, so I basically can't wait to be a different person after I finish reading this. Moving on, the next way I find really cheap books is through my Kindle. Amazon do this Kindle daily deal things where they'll put a selection of books on every single day for sale for 99p. And to be honest, since buying this Kindle back in 2019, I would definitely say that this is my most cost-effective method of reading. And for me personally, I'm always on the move, so this is a really convenient way of reading for me rather than just lugging around loads of heavy books. So the fourth book that I got last week for 99p was 438 Days by Jonathan Franklin. This non-fiction book is a true story of how a Mexican fisherman basically got swept out to sea after he was stuck in a violent storm. And the book recounts his harrowing survival of how he survived for more than over a year at sea, 438 days specifically. No surprise there. The narrative captures the psychological and physical challenges he faced, from battling the elements to maintaining his sanity. And the book really is a testament of human resilience and how he survived against all odds just on a small boat. Themes delved into include solitude, Solitude, the fight for survival, and the unyielding hope that can emerge from the depths of despair. You're probably thinking, hang on, that's literally the plot of Life of Pi, just minus the tiger, which to be honest is the reason why I bought the book, because I love Life of Pi. But the craziest thing is that Life of Pi was actually published in 2001, and this incident all happened in 2012, which I just think is beyond wild. Plus, I'm an absolute sucker for survival thrillers, so I just have a feeling that I'm gonna absolutely eat this book up, so I'm so excited to read it. And also, another book that I'm hoping to absolutely eat up, which is another book that I bought for my Kindle for 99p, is Salt Slow by Julia Armfield. This is the same author that wrote Our Wives Under the Sea, which was just such an incredible read, so I was really excited when I saw that she released a new book. This is actually a collection of short stories that explore the different lives of women undergoing various transformations, in order to highlight the surreal and often unsettling aspects of modern life, where all the characters deal with changes both psychological and physical, such as teenagers developing ungodly appetites, a city becomes insomniac overnight, and bodies are diligently picked apart in order to create better ones. The book therefore becomes this exploration of the intersection between the ordinary and the extraordinary. It explores themes of identity, transformation, and the human condition through the lens of speculative fiction. I'll be honest, I'm not really a fan of short stories because I always find that they end too quickly before you can really get your teeth sunk into them. But I really love this author because I feel like she just has such a uniquely haunting and eerie writing style that I honestly fell in love with. So I am willing to give this book a try, and I'm hoping that it's as good as the first one, but we'll see. Okay, for the rest of my books, I'm actually going to be talking about different ways I managed to get them for free. There's various ways you can get books free of charge, including stealing. I'm joking, don't steal books. So the next book I'm going to be talking about, which I actually got as a present from one of my friends, is Persuasion by Jane Austen. So me and one of my friends back home do this thing where every couple of months we'll just send each other some books that we think the other person would like. And I mentioned to my friend that I've loved Pride and Prejudice, but I've never read Jane Austen's other book, Persuasion. And then a few days later, I found this in the post, which I was very happy about. So the story follows a woman called Anne who was persuaded, to break off her engagement to a dashing naval officer due to insufficient funds and lack of prospects. And set against the backdrop of war, the narrative returns years later when the guy comes back from sea, fortunes improved, but Anne and her family are really broke. They're basically in financial ruin. The novel delves into her inner turmoil, where she's confronted with a man that she never stopped loving. It explores themes of second chances, the resilience for love, and the societal pressures that shape personal choices. I love a period drama, especially Jane Austen ones, so I'm really excited to read this book. I'll probably leave to read it around autumn time because I just feel like this time of year is just perfect for reading moody classics, so yeah, keep your eyes peeled for my review on this. Okay, moving on to my next book. It's really common in London for people just to leave things outside their house that they don't want just for people to pick it up. And this is usually furniture, but people will occasionally leave boxes of books out. And when I see these boxes, I usually pick a book out that I know or one that at least looks interesting to me. And it so happens that this one won. So the next book I got last week, which I picked up from outside my neighbour's house, was Notes on a Scandal by Zoe Heller. This story is narrated by a history teacher called Barbara who works at a comprehensive school in London. And she befriends the school's new art teacher called Sheba. However, Barbara finds out that Sheba is actually in an illicit affair with an underage student. And this psychological novel delves into the complexities of human relationships and also the boundaries of trust. It examines the intricate dynamics of power and manipulation, as well as the price of secrecy and the nature of friendship. It also explores themes of loneliness, obsession, and moral ambiguity as consequences of the scandal begin to ripple through the lives of both women. I had no idea what this book was about when I picked it up because I was just on my way to work and I was like, oh, okay, this one looks cool. And since reading the plot, I was like, okay, sounds dark, but interesting. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. I do enjoy books that explore the dark aspects of human existence, so maybe that makes me a bit weird, but I am really looking forward to reading this. Moving on, the next book I'm going to be talking about is one that I actually got through a book swap event. Book swaps or book exchanges are usually just gatherings/organized events where people literally just come together to swap books. I attended a random book club's book swap event after I saw on Instagram and I decided to go along because it was near me. And I gave in And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie just because I so happened to have 2 copies of it, and therefore I managed to swap it for Milk Teeth by Jessica Andrews. This story follows a young woman who decides to leave her life behind in the UK and she moves to Barcelona, which I'm not gonna lie, this is something I dream about doing, so we're off to a solid start. And she attempts to find a sense of belonging and discover her true self in this city. Our main character also has an eating disorder, so there's a lot of reflections about her her relationship with her body and food. And the novel also delves into the various interactions she has with different people that she meets in Barcelona, all of whom complicate but also enrich her journey of self-discovery. It explores themes of self-acceptance, body image, and the complexities of navigating life in a new environment. I visited Barcelona last month and I genuinely still have blues from that holiday, which is probably why I picked this book up, because I was hoping that it would soothe that ache of wanting to go back, or it may make me want to move to Barcelona completely. Who knows? We'll find out. Okay, for my next book, which is probably the most obvious way of reading books for free, and that is going to the library. I have owned a library card since I was 6 years old, and honestly, the concept of libraries still just absolutely amaze me. In a world where everything seems to be monetized, being able to read books for free, stunning. I actually read somewhere that public funding for libraries is getting cut down because not enough people are going. So this is a PSA from me to go to your local library and just get a card, because it then helps libraries prove to the government that they warrant staying open. But anyway, the book that I got last week from my library was 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I read his other book, Love in a Time of Cholera, last year, and whilst I loved his writing style, I wasn't really a fan of the plot, but people have told me to since read this book, so I picked it up. This book is a multi-generational story that follows a family in a fictional town, a place where the miraculous and the mundane meet. It weaves together various fantastical elements, such as prophecy, levitation, and perpetual insomnia, alongside historical realities such as war, colonialism, and revolution. It's a profound meditation on the cyclical nature of history, the inescapability of fate, and the enduring search of meaning in a changing world. It also delves into themes of creation and destruction, the fluidity of reality, and the myths that families and communities construct in order to make sense of their existence. It sounds magical, heavy, and philosophical, which is exactly what I want in my books. So fingers crossed that I like this one more, but the beauty of libraries is that you didn't pay for it, so even if you disliked the story, you didn't waste any money on it. And last but certainly not least, the last book I got last week was one that I acquired through borrowing. My manager at work lent me a book and she said that she thought I'd really like it, and that book is Canto by Patchett. I'd never heard of this book before, and I really love it when people give me books to read, because I just find it a really cool way of discovering new books that you wouldn't have picked up otherwise. So this story initially is set out at a lavish birthday party at a vice president's house in an unnamed South American country, and this mansion is suddenly besieged by a group of terrorists that are hoping to kidnap the president. However, because the president isn't there, the book then centers on the hostages and their captors, where their confinement ultimately stretches over months and the lines between captor and hostage begin to blur. The book is a profound exploration of love and compassion amidst a crisis, and the shared humanity that emerges in the face of adversity. My manager must have heard that I love survival thrillers, because this sounds like a bit of me. And I'm actually already halfway through the book and I started reading it a few days ago. Like, it started off a little dry, but it's getting really good. So keep tuned to find out my review on this. And that being said, those are all the 10 books I managed to get last week, all of them for under £5. £4.98, I think, is the exact amount. My maths is really bad, so we'll see whilst I'm editing this if that's right or not. Have you read any of these books? If so, what do you think of them? Do you think I'll like them when I read them? And let me know which other ways that you guys get cheap and free books, because your girl loves a bargain. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below. It really helps my channel out. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I make new videos every Tuesday, and that way you'll be here when I finally get round to reviewing what I thought of these books. Feel free to also follow me on my Instagram. I post a bit more personal stuff on there, but I also post about books as soon as I finish reading them, so you can see what they're about and also what I've rated them out of 10. And also feel free to follow me on my Goodreads. I've recently made an account because everyone was asking me to, so it's very much a work in progress. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys for being here and sending lots of love whenever I make these videos. So I will see you in the next one. Bye!